Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Student Insider podcast. I'm joined once again by Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Luke. How are you doing?
I'm good. It has been so long.
It's been a while.
It has
when was the last time we recorded on?
Oh, we'll have to check, but I do think it was definitely before exams this summer.
I'm just checking now. I think it was in like August time. No, or was it after exams, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we had the break and then...
Yeah,
I do remember, we recorded one before my final exams, I remember. Yeah. We did it in March. No?
The last one went out in August.
August
19th.
Oh, maybe. I do remember recording one before.
Yeah, we did.
And then we must have published it after.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But now we're back for another one.
Yeah, it's great. Episode 12. And Alex, what is the title of this episode?
What's the title of this one? So the title is going to probably be something around like 21 life lessons for our past selves because now we're both 21.
21, yeah. That's a lot of experience. A lot of things have happened in 21 years.
Probably more experience over more years, but I thought it'd be interesting to just talk about different ideas we have. So we're going to go 1 point each, and we'll just see what happens. I'll kick it off with my first point.
Honestly, I just can't believe we're 21 now.
I know,
when it hit me, as soon as I hit 21, it just kind of hit me. I was just like, oh my god, where's everything gone?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. It was we started uni 2019, and I can't believe how quickly it's gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I'm just repeating myself here because we did have a chat earlier, obviously.
Yeah.
But meeting all these freshers, all the first years at uni, and it's I remember being in first year and people telling me they were in third year, and I was like, wow, that seems so far away, and now here I am in third year.
Yeah.
It's been crazy, but I guess before we jump into things, I think it'd be nice just to maybe just catch up and let everyone know what we've been up to. I guess
we'll do a little update because
it's been a while. A lot of stuff's happened. I mean, especially in my situation. So
yeah. Go on. You want to go first then?
Well, I just need to think what I said last time because it really has been that long.
So we were in August last time. You were probably still working on iGEM and
probably was
probably just finished exams or something.
Just finished my exams. So and then summer kicks off and then boom, I'm now leading a team of 20 people. It's been crazy. Really has. I've been doing my project, which actually finished on Thursday. So we're recording on a Saturday. So a couple of days ago I finished, and everything's submitted now.
Yeah,
so.
Huge relief on that.
Yeah. A little round of applause for myself. It's been crazy. I guess maybe we'll save the details, but I've learned a lot and changed a lot. I think. Yeah,
maybe we'll do an episode about your life lessons or what you've learned from leading a team, because 20 people is quite a lot, and it must have it must have been a very good experience.
From
100%. What you said.
Yeah, I mean, having not done any leadership at all beforehand, jumping into something that serious was definitely a lot. But I guess that's probably for another time.
Yeah.
But what have you been up to, Alex?
Yeah, so I'm now on my placement. So my third year is between my second and third year at uni. So I'm working in marketing, and actually I remember talking, and it's really good. I'm enjoying it. I remember talking a while ago about marketing on the podcast. I was like, I don't know if I enjoy it anymore and stuff like that. And I was looking for a videographer placement. But then I found this and I was like, oh, it looks pretty good. And I'm actually enjoying it much more than I thought I would, which is a complete upside, which is really good.
Yeah, so
even part of me was hesitant when I applied, and now I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It's a different side of marketing that I haven't seen before, and it's because I didn't really work full time ever in marketing before, so it was good to really see what's happening, and I'm enjoying it. So it's just, and I like that I've got a gap between studying my 2 years, between my second and third year. So it's technically my third year in uni, but not at uni. When I go back, they call it your third year, but it's technically a fourth year in a degree. But
I mean technically, but I think if you do have that opportunity, because you're going to walk out of uni already having a year's worth of experience in any sort of role is good, because a lot of people I think struggle to get work. So you've got that benefit. Yeah. So if your uni does have at King's, it's called an extramural year.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure what it'll be called for you.
Yeah, they just call it
placement
year in industry.
Year in industry, yeah, something like that. I think it's definitely worth looking into. I considered it myself, but
we made an episode previously about applying to stuff when I was actually going through the process of applying to placement. So we'll link that down below about applying. And why I saw a load of when I was applying, there was no videographer placements. It didn't exist. Placement videographer didn't exist. It has to be an entry level job or just a job. And now loads of them come up this year. When I'm working in my placement, I was like, damn it. But
damn, yeah.
But actually, with my job, they're kind of flexible, and they're talking about working on some videos and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to see what happens with that. But
keep us updated. That's it's kind of crazy that you went basically saying I'm not sure if I want to do the marketing, and now you've just sort of jumped into it. Thought, I'll give it a shot, and now you're loving it. So
it's you don't know what you like until you try it.
Yeah, this sounds like one of the. Is this one of the lessons? Like, honestly, it sounds like it.
It probably is. Like, but we have to wait for that.
Yeah, we'll wait for that.
Right, yeah. So let's kick off with the first one. So my first one is It's not just a small one to get started, right? So my first one is start journaling earlier. Journaling.
Right.
So I started journaling, probably 2 years ago or something. Not like consistently every single day, but like it's something I do. I have like a notebook, like a physical notebook where I've journaled, and also in Notion, mentioned a billion times before. Best note taking app, not sponsored, again,
but we need to. We're working on it.
Yeah, one day,
hopefully.
Yeah. So like, on the ability to journal, I think it's so interesting because you can see what was going on in your past and reflect, and like just being able to sometimes say something's happening and you're kind of like unsure on what a decision to be and what you want to, like what decision you want to make, or you're going like trying to process something, like you're like you're having a tough day or whatever, and you want to maybe you just want to journal what you did today, right? Because that way in 5 years time you can be, what was I doing on Thursday, like random day.
It's like a keeping history, I guess, for yourself, right?
It's kind of like journal to keep in a diary. I don't know, it's all the same kind of thing. All I do is just like I just write a date, and I just like write what I'm thinking, like just like blurt it onto paper.
Like, so there's like no like specific structure to it, you just kind of
just do whatever.
Go crazy with it.
I'm just looking here. The first entry I have for my journal on Notion was January, March, April 2019.
Wow. So it's been a good while since you've been doing it. Is this like a regular thing you do? Or?
So I've got quite a few entries here, like on my Notion table, but I've mixed between doing it on typing it and doing it on a physical notebook. Because I like sometimes like when I'm out, I'm walking, I don't really have my physical notebook with me. But if I have like an idea or I have a thought about something, I have an idea which is maybe not like specific to a project, but just an idea of general, about like my life or whatever, or I just chuck it in my journal on Notion. Like I have a database, I just write it there, just write the date, and then write what am I thinking, what idea do I have, what thing that I could just think about life, or thinking about the day, or thinking about something that's going on, or anything. Just like that ability to see that in the future, I think is really interesting. Like also, say like in 20 years time, right? Like whatever we have going on in our lives, being able to see what was going on then, like because this is why I'm not going to go too much into it because there's another point, but the importance of documenting things that we're doing, because like with the ability of technology now, right? We have like cameras, like we have cameras in our pockets. We have a device that can take notes, not necessarily on paper. It doesn't matter if you do it on paper or not do it on paper. I do it like I said, but being able to see that in the future, I think is really interesting, and it's like one of the things that I'm thinking about in a long time. I'm thinking if I didn't do it, I wish I did. So that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because I definitely look back on like things that I've done in the past, and I was like, oh damn, like I wish I got a photo, or I wish I got a video, or just like even something, just remember the moment, But that's crazy. Like I guess it doesn't. Like, how long does it take you to like make each of these like journals, like each like entry every day? Is it like a tedious thing that you have to do? Like, sometimes you just wake up and you're like, I don't want to journal today. Like, I can't be bothered.
It's like I don't do it every day, like, and so it's not like a habit that I come to every day. But sometimes, like, if I just want to do it, I do it. Like, so there's been points where I've wanted to do it more consistently, and so I have done. But it's like it's not something that I do like every single day. But there have been points when I don't want to do it. So sometimes I don't do it, but sometimes I just like just do it for like 2 minutes or something like that. So I guess it's really like with one of these things, I don't think it's like, maybe it has compounding positive effects when you do it daily, and if I do that and I want to do that, maybe I will see that benefit, and maybe I'll give that a try. But so far it's just been like here and there. It's like sometimes been process of journaling consistently for like a couple of weeks, and maybe like gone off for a bit, or then going back to like doing it here and there,
Yeah, I guess like maybe it's just one of those things that comes around when it's most like needed, Like if you feel like you need to journal and you have like that motivation, like I need to write this down, then it's most likely going to be something that you considered important at the time. Yeah. And then when you go back to it in like, however many like weeks or years you want to like, because it sounds like this is quite a long term thing in your mind, right?
Yeah.
Like it'd be I guess it would just like sort of, I think I don't implement this like really at all in my own life. The only things that I've ever documented, like written down, is like sometimes at times when I'm feeling like especially like overwhelmed with a situation, or I just need to like get my thoughts down, I'm not too sure what's happening, writing stuff down, and then it's sort of like basically like the sort of technological like way of saying like taking a screenshot of how you're feeling at the time, and then you can sort of go back and reflect on it and say, okay, why was I feeling this way? Because at like times you might be going through something, but it's not the right time to process it. Yeah. So it's like one that you can like sort of save it, as in like you write down your thoughts and what's happening, and then at a later date you can kind of go back to it and think, oh, this is what I should have thought, or this is what I should have done. Yeah. So I can definitely see the benefits of it, but
it's really interesting. Like sometimes I would write down like an idea of what I wanted to journal, but I just I wouldn't have the ability to journal right then. Like maybe I was like in the middle of a class, so I just write the headline like of that thought that came to mind, and then process that later, and then write down those thoughts later. Because like I said, going back to that ability of technology of being able to use that, if you could just brain dump that idea and then come back to it, it's really interesting. That's an interesting thought where you said like a screenshot of like your past. Or your
I guess it kind of goes back to like that thing where you're saying like Notion is like a second brain. It's like by documenting these things, it's like an extension of your biological limits, I guess, in a way, like kind of a cool way of putting it, because it's like you can store things that you don't necessarily have time to process now for later. But anyway, what are you gonna like add on?
That was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, all right. Go on. Yes.
Mine. Okay. I need to pick. I don't know. I'm gonna go for like a mild-ish one, because I don't want to like jump into things. But yeah, I'm actually like implementing that, because that sounds like a really cool idea. Yeah. I think it'd help me with like a lot of situations.
I'd say go for it. Like do it, and just say I'll do 2 minutes. Like, don't like. I wouldn't say don't like just like don't do like 3 pages of journaling the first time, because then it becomes it's effort. Yeah. Like, you want it to be as minimal and as easy as possible. Like in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about how make the habit easy. So like make it 2 minutes. Put the journal next to your bed. Put it like have a pen there, or like just to make it as easy as possible. Like, or you can like attach it to a habit. Like say you have a habit of meditating, for example, in the morning. Like attach the habit, like after meditating, I'm gonna journal for 2 minutes. Like attach it to something. It makes it easier to do it. Like. Yeah, Atomic Habits is really interesting. It's got lots of stuff about like building good habits, and I use a lot of stuff from that to help me as well.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that we mentioned before, and I think it was basically you saying that like when you were trying to, in an episode before, you were saying that you wanted to get like you want to be a bit more proactive in going to the gym or any sort of exercise, and you're basically saying that by having like all your gym clothes like ready on the side, like just sitting there waiting to go, or like if you like instead of having something upstairs, put it downstairs so it's easier to access. I guess it like you're a lot more willing to, because I think just in general, like humans are just very lazy. Like it's just a biological thing that it's just there. Like it's just a survival thing. Like the easiest route is like probably the quickest and like the least energy consuming, right? Yeah. So I think in general you just kind of just have to like play with that, and then just accept that you're just naturally going to be like lazy, and just sort of play on it. I guess
you got to like use these tricks in it to like.
You got to trick yourself into into doing things. It's just kind of weird, because it's like you're like sort of fighting against yourself.
It's like you.
Yeah, it's like an internal combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, which one should I go for? Okay, so this is something that I picked up in first year, and it's only like this summer that I've really started to think about it properly. So this was a very like relaxed moment. I was in first year living in student halls with and I was just getting to know my new like flatmates, and there was a medic I used to live with who I think was in his 4th year, and he'd already finished his degree. So he's like 7 years into education, right? So this guy is like, a lot further ahead than we are in terms of like just experience in general. So, and basically we were all sitting like around the flat kitchen, and basically I'm just sitting there like being my paranoid first year self, like just thinking about everything I need to do all the time. Like work is like top priority always. Like if I'm not working, I'm doing something wrong basically, which is a really bad mindset. And he basically just goes like, the best bit of advice I can give you is just to live in the moment. And I don't know if I've said this on here before, but I do think that it's something that you should definitely apply, because it's so, I think especially nowadays, like, I mean, even for me, like when I'm on my phone, my WhatsApp is like a mixture of like my work group chats and my like family group chats. So it's like, it's always on my mind. It's always there. Like your email, your phone will like send you emails about work. It's always on your mind. Yeah. So like when you're going out on these occasions and it's like your time to relax and not do anything and just like, just enjoy it. It's like, it's so difficult to just appreciate where you are and what you're doing and just have fun with it. And it's only like this summer where, I mean, even for like my exams, like this year, it was like I would literally in the run up to my exams, like a month beforehand, like 4 weeks. That 4 weeks, I would not go outside, and I would just be studying like day in day out, like morning till evening, and then sleep, and then just repeat, which is obviously really unhealthy. But it was all with that like image in mind. Well, I'm going to get the best grade, and it's going to be fantastic. I mean, if you work that hard, it's like inevitable. Like you're going to do well.
Yeah.
Unless you like, I don't know, something goes horribly wrong. But it's like, so basically what I did is, instead of like getting myself to a point where I was like absolutely stressed out of my mind, but really prepared for the exam, I was like, I'm going to take breaks. I'm actually going to go out and see my friends and just not think about like uni. So something that was completely uncharacteristic of me is 3 days before like one of my big exams, I just went to the pub with my friends, and I would have definitely, like, in an instant, if they offered, I would have just said no, like, no way, I'm not going. But I was just like, I think I need this. And, I managed to get through the whole exam process feeling a lot better, like a lot healthier, much less stressed. And, I still did, like, I think probably as well as I would have done, like, even if I didn't, go out and take that time. So I think just in general, I mean, I'm going to let you speak a bit. I feel like I've been going on for a while. But yeah, I think just appreciating the moment is something that I've learned.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's really interesting. Like, because like, I guess we can't figure out that we can do that well with that break unless we do it once. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're in that mindset. We kind of get in that mindset. Like, I like that. Live in the moment. That's like, because like we hear that, like you hear that often. Oh, take lots of breaks. But like when you have this goal to do well, like we want to do well, it's like, well, I'm going to work obviously, but it's like, oh no, but this break is crucial, because then that makes me re-energized, that makes me want to do better, because it's like I'm not just working solid, like I'm taking that time for myself, I'm taking that time to go out with friends, go and take a rest, go to the gym, whatever it is,
Yeah, I think it's like, at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is like, it doesn't really like matter if you go out. I mean, obviously, like it's hard to get the balance right of going out and enjoying yourself, but it's like, as soon as you get the right balance, and like you know you can afford to go out, but when you're there, just don't think about work, because it shouldn't. Obviously, it's your number one priority is like making it, and being like really successful, making lots of money, or even just making your family proud, whatever. Like, everyone's driven by something, right? Yeah. So, and it's like, even though it is important and it's your sole purpose, I guess, it shouldn't like completely dominate your life. It's like, if you have like your end goal, like say, I don't know, for example, I wanted to be a lawyer. Like, I can like absolutely study and like stress myself out and do really well, or I can take like a different route and still get to the same place. It might take me a bit longer, but at least like I'm still healthy and I'm enjoying myself, and once I finish my degree, I'll still have the same outcome, except it took me a bit longer to get there, but I had a good time doing it.
It's about enjoying the process, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because I don't know, I mean, being 21, so my cousins always yell at me when I say like, oh my god, I'm getting so old, like, as a joke, because they're like in their late 20s, and they're like, shut up, like, you're so young, what are you talking about? But it's like, I don't know, at this point now, I'm at that point where I feel like now I am 21, and seeing how much education I've done and how little time I have like spent as a whole, like looking, like missing all these events, which I thought at the time were like necessary, especially like during exams when things get stressful. Like, it's okay to miss them. Yeah, exactly. It's fine, like, it's okay. Like, just relax a bit, Yeah,
exactly.
Basically,
it's like I heard this thing before. It's like, it's interesting. It was quite interesting to me. It's like we can have like these sprints of different prioritization. So like there might be like a certain amount of time that we're going like a lot of focus on work, then we have another amount of time like where we're taking the pedal back a bit. We're like we're still doing what we want to do, but we're also like taking more time to rest, because like, so it depends on, I don't know what you're doing, like if you're working somewhere, if you have, I don't know, if you're like self-employed, if you are in university, if you're in school, like that really depends on what you're doing. But like, I think that sounded really interesting, having those sprints of work and rest. It's like you might have
it's a really good way of putting it, because it's like, if you imagine like I don't know, your entire life or getting to that degree is like I don't know, like a 10 kilometer like a marathon or something, right? You can either do sprints and take rests in between, or you can just like work it like. But at the end of the day, everyone's going to reach the finish line. Yeah. Unless you completely like just sit there. But
exactly. It's about testing different things to see what works best for you. Yeah. It's like what might work for one person doesn't work for another person.
Yeah, I think another big thing as well is like, imagine you're just like running this. We're gonna stick with this analogy. I like it. you're running and you see like your peers are like way ahead of you, and you see someone like absolutely like legging for it, like just completely sprinting, and they're just going absolutely crazy, and you're just like, oh, I'm not working as hard as them. But what you might not realize is, as soon as you go around the bend, they're going to slow right down because they've worn themselves out, and because you're going at a good pace, you'll catch up eventually, you know.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
You know what? I was listening to an episode of the Tim Ferriss podcast the other day, maybe yesterday or the day before, and it was with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
And he was talking about, it was actually such a good episode. I would actually recommend it. And
I guess we can link it in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Put that down there. It was really great episode. I'm actually really liking this podcast recently. And so something Hugh Jackman was talking about was the 80% rule. And it was like...
the 80-20 that we've brought
No,
up
this is a different one, actually.
Oh, different rule.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
interesting.
So this was the 80% rule. This was like... So it was an example was an athlete, and it was like... I think it was like a coach said to like the person he was coaching, like the athlete. It was like... Sometimes people say, okay, you need to push, you need to go 100%, you need to go 100%. But it was like, just go at 80%. Like, go at your 80% level, like, run this at 80%. And they ended up, like, everyone else was, like, 100%, like, going as fast as they could. But the other person was just like, I'm going to go 80%. And they were just, like, going, like, taking it not too fast, not too slow. And then, like, and then he had this more energy, that he just used after and managed to, like, go past everyone.
Oh, like the final sprint, like after,
Like, I don't know if that's exactly how it was, but the point was like, don't try work yourself on 100% because then like you're gonna burn out. Like take it. If you go to like 80%, you're gonna like be able to keep going for a longer period of time. I think that was like kind of really the takeaway of it. But 100%. Like check that out if you're interested in like. I think it was in the episode, and you probably just Google it like 8% rule. Like type in Hugh Jackman or something because he talked about it. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I thought like it's an interesting approach to like just things instead of like going, okay, I need to go full on like all the time. It's like, okay, well if I work hard on it, but just not 100%, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Okay, I think we should move on to the next question.
Okay, cool. So next,
oh god, I've lost it already.
Okay, so we kind of, I think, so we didn't really touch on this, but so my second point is consistent habits is the only answer to our goals and ambitions. So this kind of linking into like work and goals. And
these feel like more like philosophical like proposals more than like life lessons. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. This is the stuff that I came up with, and I was like, like I said earlier before we started recording, like these my life lessons would change probably in like 2 months' time. But
I think it will. I think it,
and it like depends on the day we write it, the mindset we're in, everything. If it's day or if it's night, whatever it is. But before like I would always like think, okay, I'm gonna set my goals for the year or whatever. And there was a point where I realised, wait, goals are just goals, right? They are nothing. Goals are meaningless without habits because habits are what equal that goal to be achievable. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this before on the show. Maybe, but like what I've realised, how I like to approach it is if I set a goal, I want to associate, like 2 or 3 habits with that goal to make that actually doable. Like, say, I think I did talk about this before, but I'll repeat it anyway. I had a goal to achieve a first in my second year at uni, right? Yeah. That was like one of the goals that I set. I was like, I want to achieve a first. And I ended up achieving a 2-1, just shy of a first, but you know what? I'll take it. I'm happy with that. I still got another year after
I remember you talking about this,
Yeah. And my associated 3 habits with that. So one habit was turn up to every class on time, take notes, prepare, take notes after, like that was one habit. Another one was do all my coursework to the best of my ability. And another one was another habit, whatever it was, but there was 3 habits that I associated with it.
We'll just say this too.
Yeah, sure. And so I just I worked on them, I did them, and if I fell behind, I caught up after. And like those, I was like, okay, those are things I can do. Put them in my I'll put them in my calendar. I'll do them, and that's what led to it. Like probably doing that work, I had a load of coursework in second year. I put the time in. The output came. Like that was only because of the habit that was associated with that goal,
I think it's like interesting how you define habits, because when I think of like showing up to my like lectures early on time, I don't really feel like that would be a habit.
That's like a necessity, really.
Yeah. I feel like a habit is more like one of those things that you do like consistently every day.
Yeah.
Like to, I don't know, like to achieve something or with like some sort of long-term goal in mind. Like I would consider like waking up every morning and meditating for 10 minutes is a habit, and with the long-term goal of that is to just have a lot more peace of mind and maybe see things a bit more clearly during the day. So it's interesting how you define that as a habit.
Because I think habits can be defined in many ways. Like I would meditating, I'd define that as a habit. Like that would be like a habit for clarity, for example. That I would see it as, like, say the goal was more clarity, the habit would be meditation. And the reason I would say going to class is a habit is because that is what equals that success, right? Because I feel like I said, it's like goal is the pillar, and then the way to achieve that goal is the habits, like the things that you're going to do on a consistent basis. Like you're going to go to class on a consistent basis. You're going to study. Oh, that was the other one. Study. Obviously.
We could have forgot about that one.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I had lots of coursework that year. That's why I probably why I
maybe
forgot.
I guess.
But,
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, those were the 3 habits, and like that is what equaled the goal.
Yeah, I guess because it wouldn't be every day because classes don't happen every day sometimes, right? But I guess like the fact that you get yourself into, I guess I would actually probably phrase it as a habit then in that sense. You get yourself into the habit, like you get consistent with just being used to, I don't know, packing your bag, getting up, brushing your teeth, whatever, and then going to class and being there and taking notes. That whole process, that whole morning process, or whatever time of day, like the classes, or if you're at a coffee shop and you need to go, like you just know, like you get your body into the habit of like just being like, I'm gonna go to this is where I need to be. Like it doesn't really matter what I think. This is just what has to happen. And I guess in that sense,
exactly. And see what this is really interesting for the part I mentioned before about associating habit to build another habit. So going to class is easy. We've been doing that for years. Going to school, right? So going to university is the same thing. Okay, going to class, I have a class. Of course, I have to turn up to it, right? But then I associate the habit. Oh, after class, I got this gap of time, right? I can go to the library. Okay, let me associate after this class. I'll go to the library, do a bit of work. Now I'm associating a habit of studying with that class, making that easier to do the habit because it's compounding because you're associating one thing with another.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I didn't think about that because I guess a lot of the time, like after my class is finished, it's like, yay, class finish, and then you're just like, I don't know, you go and do whatever your mind strays to next, and whatever, which is most likely going to be something very, very unproductive. Let's be honest.
Well, to be fair, you don't have to be doing work all the time. Like after class, I'll just randomly go get coffee with a mate. Like
I guess that
goes back to balance with what you want to do. But like when you want to do that, if you want to, I don't know, do a certain amount a day or do a certain amount, or you have like a project or a deadline or coursework deadline. Okay, I want to do a certain amount by this time, so then you can associate that with that thing after the class.
I think that's interesting because I can definitely imagine like. If you're going to get yourself into the habit of going into class, then why not get yourself, like, every time you tell yourself I'm going to go to class, also tell yourself after the class you're going to go to the library, and just make that one big, like, as you said, like, attach them together, and then that way you'll be a lot more consistent, I think, in going to the library, for example, because if you are consistent with going to class, then there's no reason why you won't go to the library afterwards. Exactly. I think I like that. That's a really nice lesson that you've... I'm going to use all these points. This is great. I'm going to start journaling and... everything's going to be great.
Yeah, I'll send you my points. So
sure thing.
All right, go on.
Okay,
that was this is your number 3, right?
That's my number 2.
Your number 2. I went first. Yeah.
I mean 3 overall. So this is So basically, this this point that I have sort of stems from. I've spoken about like the fact that I wanted to be a medic quite a lot on the podcast as a whole. Because I think it is quite like an important point, and it's something that I think is probably like my biggest lesson, and that's that you should never really do something that you don't want to do. Like, I think there's definitely like a lot of exceptions, and there's like a big caveat with like that. Like sometimes there are things that you don't want to do, but you have to do for like the benefit of like someone else, like someone you care about a lot, or anything like something that you know is going to be good for you. You might not necessarily want to do it. Like I don't necessarily want to wake up and go to the gym every day. But on those days where I don't want to go, I'll still go because I know, like in the long term, it's still like. But in that sense, I guess because I want to do like be better, it sort of forces like past those bad things. But I think especially with regards to medicine, I found that as I was like preparing, like to do all these like really crazy things, like to speak to doctors, do placements, and like pay for all these courses and everything for like my admission tests. And as I was doing all this, it's like I never really sat down to think like, wow, do I actually like enjoy this? You know what I mean? Like, because it was very obvious from school that I was definitely a lot more interested in like scientific research, like the really molecular, like tiny details of science. But I still just kept going down that medic path, and I think it's because I became so focused on it that I just completely overlooked the fact that am I actually doing this because I enjoy it, or am I just doing it because it's what I've always done? I think it'd be good to just. In general, I mean, don't want to get everyone having like a crisis and sitting down thinking, oh my god, like should I be a footballer after been playing football for like 5+ years, But I think it is definitely something like, because I went to all these different things, and a lot of the time I was like, I just don't want to do this. I don't find this interesting at all. But I just kind of did it anyway. So I think my life lesson would just be like, just try it and just do more things that you enjoy. With obviously like, it's kind of a difficult point to like to say, because there are, you know, as I said a minute ago, like there are some things that you do anyway, even if you don't want to do them, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, that's really interesting. So what to say is like, don't do something just because you feel you have to, or just because you've started something doesn't mean you can change. Like,
exactly.
Because you went down the path of like, okay, you wanted to go into medicine, whatever. But then the question is always like, we can ask ourselves, why do I want to do that? You know?
Exactly.
Am I doing this because I enjoy it? Or?
I think I was lacking way too many whys along the whole process. It's like, why am I doing this, and that? And it's like, oh, because I want to be a doctor. But like, why do I want to be a doctor?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, does that really make sense after all? So it's an interesting thing that I've picked up, and I think it definitely applies as well. Is in like, and it sort of links into one of my other points, but I don't want to like spoil that too soon. But I think that, you know, sometimes when people come to you for like a favor. And you just feel like inclined, like you just have to, like it's like difficult to say no, you know. I mean, it depends on the person. But like people that are a lot more like, I don't know, I guess sensitive, more malleable, and a lot more like, I guess, emotionally aware, would be a lot more likely just to say yes even if they didn't want to do it. And I was like that. That was definitely like how I was before. And I think it's just like, it's okay to just, if you don't want to do it, like you just have to be honest and sometimes just be selfish about it, you know.
Like you can't just say yes to everyone for everything, because like
exactly.
We all have the things that we want to do, and just if you just say yes to everyone, it's like people are gonna take advantage of that. So you gotta like know when to like take the step back and say no. Like I can't, you know. Like they'll be like, sorry, I can't, and they'll be like, okay.
I think
they're not gonna like have a massive like, oh, why can't you do that? Like
exactly. I mean, sometimes my friends do over exaggerate, and I think this like it definitely applies to like everything, because. You know, before, say if I've got like a big deadline coming up, and my friends are like, oh, come on, like come to the pub, like come out with us, like we really want you to be there. I think just having the confidence and just, you know, like the strength just to be like, no, like I have something else to do, even though you feel bad for like, you know, it's like sometimes you just have to kind of put it aside and just be like, you know, I don't really want to do it, and I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. That's
what I would say.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Like, the asking the why is really interesting, I think, because there was a philosopher that literally would, I think, was it Socrates? It might have been Socrates, but he would literally just go around to the town asking everyone, oh, why are you doing that? Like, why are you wearing that? Because I like it. But why are you wearing it? And like, like he's really asked those, like, make you really think, like, why am I doing this? Like, am I just doing it because someone else is doing it? Am I doing it because it's what I'm quote unquote supposed to do? Like, like, do I actually enjoy this?
I think it's just definitely like take it with a caveat though, because I feel like it will just put like, I don't want anyone like listening to this to just be like, oh my god, why am I doing any of this, and then just have like a massive crisis, you know.
I think the reason I think it's really interesting to talk about is because it kind of like builds this critical thinking of us, you know, like, because like if we don't ask these questions, we take away that opportunity to make that progress of trying to figure, like, maybe figure something out about ourselves that we didn't really know unless we ask those questions. Because, like, I think I read it somewhere, is that like difficult conversations is the only way to like true progress. Like, even with difficult conversations with other people, or also with yourself, right? Like,
100%. Good point. I think mentioning like the whys, it reminds me of something that my chemistry teacher from high school used to say, and he was saying that any problem can be solved by asking 7 whys. Like exactly 7. Apparently it's like a rule. I'll have to look up the rule, and maybe I'll add it to the show notes afterwards. But basically he was saying that you can get to the bottom of anything by just asking why enough times. It's like, so say, I don't know, like you're, the head of like a car manufacturing company, right? And you're like, okay, and something in the car is broken. Okay, so like, why is this part broken? And you'd be like, oh, it's probably something to do with like, I don't know, the manufacturing line. Okay, like, so why? What's happening there? And then you figure out, okay, it's this department, this is happening. So, okay, why? Like, whose fault is it? Like, what's happening? And then you get down and you figure out it's like, I don't know, the engineer that designed this aspect. And then at the end of the day, you get down to the bottom of like what the problem is eventually by asking why enough times. And I guess just as a general life lesson, like obviously everyone wants to avoid difficult conversations, and especially with yourself, you know, if you know you've got a problem with anything, like, you know, it could be like something like really self-destructive, or I mean anything just about like your career in general, you know, it's better to tackle them sooner than later, because things just fester if you leave them.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even if it is at a late point, it's like usually that you can always like alter, you can change, you can take it, like you can.
It's never too late to turn around.
Exactly. And that's really interesting. I was just like writing down the 7 whys. I want to look into that.
It's just something that I just remembered. I obviously my story of it was just like not probably anywhere near as well told as my chemistry teacher did, but yeah, by asking why enough times, you can always get to the bottom of like anything. It's like same with science as well. It's like, I don't know, this patient like has a cancer that's formed. Okay, why has that happened? Because I don't know, X, Y, and Z. This happened inside like this specific cell, and then you get down to like the right tiny little details of molecular mechanisms. So
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, definitely got me thinking about how I could question more stuff.
Let's not. I don't want to cause you have a crisis.
But I think it's important because, like, if we ever have, I don't think it's like, obviously we don't want people to have a crisis, but that, like I said before, that critical thinking is important because that's how you make progress on things, I think.
Yeah, just maybe be careful with your conscious in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's all for us to figure out. But anyway,
next point. It's on you.
That's on me.
Take the floor.
It's actually, this might link to something we mentioned here. So I'm going to cheat here. Actually, I've got 2 points which I'm going to count as one.
Oh, okay.
So
2 in 1. I like it.
So the first point is from the Tim Ferriss book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which I am reading currently.
Have you mentioned that yet? Yeah.
I talked to you about it earlier.
Yeah.
But
behind the scenes.
Podcast. Yeah, behind the scenes. And yeah, I'm actually reading it again after I've read it before and didn't really finish it, so I'm reading it again. And
oh, nice.
Yeah. So this point is seek forgiveness, not permission. And this
really not permission. Like I'm trying to seek forgiveness, not permission. Interesting. Okay.
So the reason I think it's really interesting is because say we have something we want to do, and say there's say that there could be a barrier of like, I might need this person's permission, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But it's interesting. It was like, seek forgiveness, not permission, meaning let me do it. Obviously, this depends on what it is.
Oh god, this sounds really chaotic.
It depends what it is and what you want to do, but I think it can be really interesting because let me do this thing and let's see what happens. If it's wrong, I'll just apologize, I'll seek forgiveness, and then I'll say, I won't do that again, or what do you want me to do instead, you know? For example, the one example I think about is, say there's something, there's like an area which you don't know, maybe it's like a exclusive area with a building or something, and you're like a photographer and you want to take a picture of it, but you don't know if you can't take a picture of it. Like, instead of asking the security guard, can I take a picture of that?
Yeah.
Just take a picture of it, and look, nothing happened, it's fine. But if you're giving that person the opportunity to say no, they're more likely to say no, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, for example, say there's, say that at uni, say I was recording a vlog, right? In the lecture theatre. I'm not going to go down to the lecture theatre, to the lecturer and say, am I allowed to record in here? I'll just be like, I will just record. And then if they say, no, you can't do that, I'll be like, okay, sorry, I'll delete it.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, obviously, you need to be clever about something. Don't do something wrong. Don't do something that is illegal.
Obviously. I was just thinking
But it's like, if it's something little, I don't know, it's just something.
I think the security guard in the photos was a pretty mild one, you know, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's their job to look out for that kind of thing, right? So, but then again, I guess it comes down to more of a moral and ethical situation.
Yeah, if there's a sign there to say don't take photos, obviously you can't take photos, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you were to walk into a situation willingly, knowing that what you're going to do is most likely going to upset someone, or they're most likely going to say no, would you still go about doing it? You know, it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, if I know that the person is most likely to say no, or it seems wrong, I won't do it.
Yeah,
because it's a wrong thing. Ethically, it shouldn't be done. But if it's something that it seems like it's going to be fine, but you just do it, and if it's wrong, just say, I'm sorry, I didn't know it wasn't supposed to happen. It won't happen again. I think that's.
Did they use any examples in the book?
They used any examples in the book. It's
okay.
Like you said, it can become chaotic. It could be
troublemaking.
100%.
Because it's like at that point you're almost using ignorance as an excuse, which is not necessarily okay if you are aware of what you're doing. You know, it's like if you're aware that you're purposely doing something that someone may say no to, not knowing that they you shouldn't do that.
It really depends on what it is exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to
maybe we need to find some more examples to actually really understand this, but I didn't really go too deep into it. But I think it's just something small as, I don't know. It's just I really like the example I used. It's like I think maybe if you're, maybe I want to do some more research on this kind of stuff, but it's interesting. It's an interesting approach to have. It's like this person really doesn't have any impact. They can't say I can't. They don't really say they haven't. I have free will, right? There's just to say it's something making a YouTube video, right?
Mm.
Like, well, I don't really need to ask anyone's permission to do that, right? It's like, but maybe some people will think, oh, I need the permission of, I don't know, like where I'm recording, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like, oh, I need the permission to talk about this subject. Really, depending on what it is. Obviously, if it's something legally, probably, like, I don't know, if you talk about a lawsuit, you probably can't talk about that. But like, if you just try more things, let's go back to trying more things, right? If you try more things and, oh wait, that's not actually right, okay, I won't do it again. Just don't do anything that is wrong or illegal, obviously.
Yeah, I guess like in your own like sort of your own personal sense, I guess it could be like you're not using that rule, right? Like just doing something and not like, and then being like sorry afterwards. I guess it could be good for more like personal growth in a way.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, it's like if you're like, I don't know, let's say I want to start. I'm interested in rock climbing, but I don't know if I'm like, you know, physically fit enough or if I'm going to enjoy it. You know, it's like just go. Like, don't just say no to yourself like immediately. Just go, see how it is, and then, you know, you can sort of apologize to yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Internally,
Yeah.
you know, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting point though.
Okay, so here's the second point of this point, which kind of links. So it's, don't let other people's opinions stop you from doing what you want to do. Like no matter like when or like how old you are when you like, because this is a nice mindset shift to have. Like realizing that, okay, I'm not gonna let other people's opinions stop me from things I want to try, things I want to do. And like no matter when you have that, it's such a like helpful such like a nice moment to realize that, oh wait, it doesn't really have much of an impact on me. Like if you have this goal, if you have this ambition, don't let like other people just stop you from that. Like some people come from a level of jealousy. It's like they don't want you to say, oh no, don't do that. Like, oh, why are you gonna start this thing? It's not gonna work. It's because they're jealous because they're not willing enough to start it. And that's why it kind of links into the point that I'm talking about. Talking about
100%.
seek forgiveness, not permission. And so like there was this really interesting thing, like general as us like humans, right? We have this part of us which is like, we think, oh, this person might be thinking about us, about something we did, something we said. And what is really interesting, that it's not like, this is backed by research, that most people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
And that was such a like when I heard this, like I wish I heard it earlier, but when I heard this, I was like, it's such a such a mind shift, like light bulb moment. It's like people aren't really thinking about me; they're thinking about themselves. And when they are thinking about you, most of the time, they're thinking about how you are thinking about them.
Yeah. I think that's just like a general rule, and I can definitely see like that jealousy definitely plays a big part into what you're gonna do. And I think you should never like let what anyone says like stop you from doing something. You know, if you enjoy doing it, like I think there's like some level of, you know, I think it's definitely just about finding the right people that you know aren't jealous, people that you know actually do love and support you. And then if you surround yourself, like gradually you can just filter through them, you know, just go through life, just like interact with people, engage, you know, you'll realize like the people that are there to actually support you and the people that are there just to use you for their own benefit, or just to, you know, because they just want to be better. And they're all just focused on themselves, which is, as you said, like majority of people do think like that. And I definitely agree. And it's been the focus of a lot of like my own sort of development, in that realizing that it's a hard thing to say, because especially coming from someone that like I used to, as I was saying, I was quite like a sensitive and malleable like person, someone that's like very like emotionally driven, you know, and it's just a very hard thing to sort of come by, like knowing that other people are out there just for themselves. But, you know, I think it's just like, I don't like bringing up science all the time, but generally,
it's what you enjoy. So
yeah, like it's like, you know, it is like just a survival thing. Like it's instilled in every living thing. Like it is like, I'm just going to survive. That's what I do, and this is what it's like. Where like determination for anything comes from. You know, it's just like that want to like survive and just move forward.
Yeah,
I think it's just like biologically instilled in people. So it's like you can't even help it. Like it's just there, and like the majority of the human population are going to be like that. You know, and I think this definitely stems onto one of my points, which is where it's like, you know, you should just be a lot more confident and just like a lot like more stronger and just a lot more faith in yourself. And because, you know, it's like, if you're like one of those like really sensitive people and very malleable, people will use you, as you said, like they'll just use you for their own benefit. And you know, like when someone asks you something and you just say yes because you feel bad, you know, they're just thinking like, they might just be thinking about themselves. They might not be thinking what's good for you, you know?
Because yeah, like we have these ambitions, but there are people like that that can be toxic. And that could be like taking advantage, and like that's what you got to realize, that those are the people's opinions, literally might be their toxicity. Like they could be your friend, but if they're really toxic and they're saying you shouldn't do something and you really have an ambition to do it, are they really your friend? Like a friend should bring you up. Should be positive. It should encourage you to do stuff.
I think that, although I do think the best friends are the ones that do tell you like, no, this is a dumb idea. Like as long as you can see the good intentions there. Because let's just say
you have to.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
You have to see that intention. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. Like, obviously, it's a big generalization. I mean, I don't know where you got this like research paper from. It'd be nice to have a look through.
I think
and
it
see.
was. I can't remember exactly. I think there was something to do with a 1997 paper. But that might have been about a different point of the article. So, because I read this about an article about the research about it. So I'll link down below. There's an article on Medium, like there's a blog, where people can post blog posts about that made some good points about the other people's opinions and like how it's a nice relief. So we'll link that in the show notes below. And I definitely recommend give it a read. It makes some really interesting points.
It reminds me a lot of I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like the Stanfield prison experiment, something like that.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah.
I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's basically they had like volunteers act as like prisoners and as like enforcers, like the officers, and they put them in like this massive like simulatory environment. They didn't really give them any instruction. They just said like just make sure that they had like a schedule for them, like just basically simulating a prison, and like naturally. The people like the officers, like these are just like completely like normal like people, just like me and you.
Students, right?
I think they were students. Yeah, they're all students. So like just like me and you basically. And even though they weren't given like any incentive to be like crueler, they just naturally like took advantage of that state of being above that person and abused it to the point where they had to like completely like
I swear it only lasted like 3 days or something.
Yeah, they shut it down like quickly. So I guess that kind of links into it as well. It's like as soon as someone knows they're above you, they'll just like they'll just push like instead of bringing themselves up, they'll bring others down so they appear higher. Basically is the whole idea of it. And they actually interviewed some of the officers like years later. Like I can't remember. I think I watched it on Vsauce actually. They interviewed like the people that had been the officers, and they were basically saying like, no, I don't feel guilty for it at all. Like they were like probably backing themselves up and basically saying like, I feel like it's fine. Like it was within my reason what the experimenters told me to do, which is, I don't know. It's a very like, it's kind of hard to pick sides on it. I think it's one of those things you have to kind of have your own opinion on. Yeah, but it definitely does provide evidence for your point anyway.
Yeah, because like like the point of view for the prisoner was like the prisoners, like that probably, I can't remember the specifics. I remember seeing something about the interviews. I know they made a film about it as well.
Yeah.
And the prisoners have probably had it might have done probably had like a significant negative effect on them, like that experience, because like they from what I remember is like the prisoner, the guards were cruel. They didn't treat them well. They went to that. Oh, I have authority.
Yeah, so they definitely like it does just highlight your point completely, and it's just a tough fact of life. I think that you just kind of have to.
Well, how does that highlight the other people's opinions, though?
What do you mean, like, other people's opinions?
So, which point are you saying that highlights?
About people like just being like envious and jealous.
Oh, yeah. I get you.
Yeah, just people like will use you for their own benefit, effectively, and it's not everyone's like that. But I think my best advice from this point anyway would just be to just know who your real friends are. And I think that leaving school, you realize who your real friends are, and just from experiences and exchanges in general, it's like the people that like support you and want you to do well, they'll stick around, and the people that see you doing well and they'll get jealous by it, and even if you don't let them put you down, they'll just wander off because they'll just feel bad, and they'll just wander off and try and bring someone else down. Those kind of people, just flush them away.
Stay away from them.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. I guess it's like I'm kind of thankful that have like a really amazing group of friends, especially here. I've spoke about this a lot in London, but I feel because I've known like you guys and like everyone else that we're friends with here a lot more than I know my like friends at uni, and it's just a lot like. I just feel like I'm a lot closer with people here, and I think it's just like over the years you do build up those experiences and those like bonds, and I just know that every single like person here like will support me and wants me to do well, and they're not jealous at all.
Yeah, exactly. Because like we've had that time to develop. like
exactly.
there's I remember reading there's like studies about how much time some people spend with each other and how that those friendships develop. Like there's a certain amount of hours to become acquaintances, certain amount of hours to become friends, certain amount of hours to become best friends. It's like because the more time you spend, the more you get to know someone, and over a longer period of time, you just know someone better. Innit? It's like it's just general how. So
yeah. I think another point as well, which actually, should we move on?
Go for it.
I think there's like, if you know that you have someone in your life that you're not necessarily close with, and they're, they need help, like actively need help, and you do what you can to help them. I think it's a difficult line to draw, but at some point I think there is a point where you need to kind of be selfish and think, okay, you know what, their like issues are kind of having a negative impact on me, in a sense, and I think at that point you just have to kind of figure out whether the person that you're like helping would do the same for you down the line. It's like if my friend was really stressed about exams and like really like stressed out, and I knew that like they were a good friend and they were going to do the same thing for me, I'd put like everything, even if it brought me like right down to like the low, just to get them back up, because I know that they'll do the same for me. And I think those kind of friendships are like the ones that do stick. It's just where it's like a constant exchange of like favors and just like care, love.
Yeah.
So
because like it's give and take in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if a relationship with someone is just like you're doing all the stuff and they're not doing they're not reciprocating, it's like, what's going on here? Like,
that's
are you just using me? Like,
yeah, it is. That's like the sort of the red flag that you need to look out for in people. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to read that paper that you mentioned anyway. Okay. Is it now my turn?
I'm actually
I did answer like my one was just sort of about being just more confident.
So does that count as your point 3?
Yeah. So my point was basically just like, don't be so nice is what I wrote. Just don't be like too nice.
Don't be naive,
Yeah, I think
like,
naive's a better word.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So my next point. Okay, I need to decide which one I want to use. Let me think. Okay, this is like one that's definitely I've recognised very recently. Especially in the competition and just sort of as part of my degree as a whole. And I think it's that I find it bizarre that someone can invest so much money into a degree and, like with their maintenance, like they're going to come out of it with so much debt and then just be so half-assed about it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why would you put so much like, time and of your life into something just not to go like 100%.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a big generalization to make, and obviously everyone's 100% is going to be different, but I just think that like if you're going to put time into something, if you're not doing your best, it kind of aggravates me, it's like because I mean I'm not going to sound, I'm not perfect, right? Like, I don't put 100% into things all the time, but when it comes to like exams or anything, it's like if I'm not doing my best, it annoys me. Like I feel bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like there could be like, oh, you get your result and you're like, I knew I could have done more. I knew I could have done better. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There's no risk. There's no redoing this. Like university is not cheap, right? So it's like it's not free. Like obviously they have like like you know how the UK works, like the government and stuff. For the tuition, so you're still paying that back at the end of the day. So it's like it's costing you money. Right?
It is money out your pockets. Yeah.
So it's like. I remember one of my lecturers going about, oh, the cost for this lecture costs you like £100 or £200 or whatever if you do the maths. Like,
interesting.
And what, you're not going to take notes, you're not going to pay attention, like you're paying £100 or £200 for this.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Actually, now I think about it, because it's like you're literally paying like so much money for it, and I've bumped into people that are like, oh yeah, like I got like I passed this whatever like 40%, and they were just like content, they were like happy. It's like, oh fine, I just got it out of the way. And it's like, but you need, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, is that like really? Yeah. You're really not optimizing like your degree at all. I don't know. It probably makes me sound really, really bad, but like, I just think
it's just ambition. It's like, I remember, right, there was one of my modules in first year, and I remember I got like 57%, and I was so annoyed. I was like, I could have done so much better. I was like, after I got the result, I was like, me and my friends were walking back. I was like, I'm going to the library, because like I was so annoyed with what I got. So okay, cool. I was like, because I was just like, damn it, maybe I just need to put more work. And like, it was cool. It was first year, so no big harm. But like, exactly. It doesn't count to my degree. But like, that was like a quick like realization that like, okay, maybe there's more work than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like. Okay, I guess there's like a really hard way to like biologically define what ambition is, right? And everyone's like, as I said, everyone's limits are going to be different. Everyone's 100% is going to be different. But I'm definitely one like those. As we said before, it's like you're running a marathon. Everyone's going to get this degree at the end of the day, and it just depends on how long. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. Like you'll get there in the end. Everyone's going to be different. No one can run as fast as another person.
Like if you want to take a spontaneous gap year, like do it. Like because like degrees are usually finished in like 3 years or 4 years or whatever. Like if you want to take a gap, go for it. You want to like travel, go for it. Like we don't have to like conform to what's usually done, right?
Yeah, I guess at the same time, I guess people have like different ambitions as a whole. Like at uni, someone might be a lot more socially driven than academically driven, which is fine. Like that's okay. I guess just everyone has differing interests, but I just think for what you're paying for, to have like more friends and more status is not personally worth it. But I guess that kind of brings up a good point actually, because I guess everyone's end goal is different, and it's not like if I'm working like this much towards something, someone else is going to be working a different amount towards it. Like someone might want to go out more and have more fun because that's just what they enjoy doing and that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that brings up my other point, like the one I mentioned earlier about don't do what you want to do. But I guess that's a bit pushing it a bit because you are paying for a degree.
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think I'm sounding like really pretentious here. I just can't feel like, but I don't know. I think because especially, as I was saying earlier, as part of the iGEM competition, we've done our judging session, and me and my team, like every single one of us, put like 1,000,000,000% of our effort into it. To the point where we were like detrimenting our own degrees, and it's like if there's someone that's like on our team, especially in like a leadership position, if there's someone that's not putting 100% in, it's just like. It's kind of like frustrating because it's like you're really letting the whole team down at that point,
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like there are times when there is reasoning before it. Like someone could be having a really tough time or have like massive deadlines coming up. You can appreciate that, but when there's like little to no excuse for it, it's just like
it's like they don't have an excuse. They were just lazy, kind of thing. Like,
exactly.
Working on projects like in first and second year actually. And there's like people don't contribute to the teamwork, like to the group project. Like we've got a presentation like this contributes to our percentage for this year, and you're not going to put in the work. Like come on, man. Like this is everyone needs to do the stuff to bring people up.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing that it's not really. I guess it's not really a life lesson. This is just me ranting at this point, isn't it? But I guess like in my own sense anyway. Like if I'm like my whole life, I've always just like my mum especially has just always driven me. Like if you're not giving 100%, you're not doing enough. Basically, like it's like it. I guess there's some caveats there where it's like sometimes you can't, some things come up and don't, or it depends on the situation. It's really like it fluctuates a lot, but I've always like just been driven. Like if I'm gonna do something, if I'm gonna run a race, I'm gonna come first. I don't care what happens. I'm gonna work towards it. And if you don't, like it's okay not to like win all the time. You can't win all the time, but it's like if you didn't put 100% in, then like. Even if you come second, at least you tried everything you could to get to that position, and you've worked for that.
Yeah, and you were like, I want to be first. That is what I'm thriving.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to thrive to be second, like because then you like the higher you thrive for, the higher you're going to get. Like if you say, I want to come third, you're going to get last. If you say I want to come first, maybe you come second, like you said, but that's much better because you're going for that higher.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just a thing that I've just generally picked up. Like I think one of my like most important life lessons is like, if you want to do well and get somewhere, like you have to just give your all. Like
you got to put in the time.
You have to put the time into it, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of weird how all these points are like linking together.
Yeah,
I think it's like all these life lessons are kind of like synchronized. In a way.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool. So
you're up.
I'll go on.
No
Point
pressure.
4. Yeah. Okay, so I would say this is for myself, say 2 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, say around sixth form, start of uni.
Okay.
And this is read more books, watch less YouTube. So this is mainly in terms of like self-improvement. Like over time I've watched quite a lot of self-improvement videos, like how to be productive at this, how to use this productivity app, how to this thing about minimalism or whatever, and yes, these videos are helpful, and I have learned a lot from them. Not completely, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I have learned stuff from these videos. But the thing is, you can only learn so much from a 10-minute video. Like they can only cover so much stuff in a short amount of time. Like compared to a 300-page book, like you can't go in depth on a topic, like really in depth, in something that is just short that you've watched on your phone, right? So that's what I would say to myself. I would say, if you wanna improve at something, one, you need to take more action, like just the way it is. And
I mean, you have to start somewhere. Someone's like it's it's like when you go to the gym. It's like someone else can't lift the weights for you. You have to lift them yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of just...
And so watch less YouTube, read more books. And in the last year, I've probably read the most that I have that I remember, apart from when I remember in early school, they're like, okay, you need to read every day, and when that didn't become a thing you had to do, I didn't read as much at all. But now in the last year or so, I've been reading much more, and I've been watching less YouTube. I've been more intentional with what YouTube I've been watching, and sometimes it might just be something funny on YouTube, and okay, I'm learning from other stuff. It's just cool to enjoy watching this video or whatever. I'm not going to it for my full source of trying to find stuff to improve. It's because I guess going back to that, people can't cover such a big topic. Say you're talking about I read a book. I remember watching loads of videos about minimalism, and they were great. But I read the book Minimalism, Living a Meaningful Life by the Minimalists. I think they have a podcast and a blog and stuff, and that covers some really great topics that weren't covered in just a 10-minute video. They covered 5 aspects of living a meaningful life, and that was really whoa. That's really interesting. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was a really interesting book about social life, and also it really it talks about business as well, about relationships in business, and you can't get that from a 10-minute video. I found about the book probably from a video, but they can only cover so much in that. Without you have to like you said, you have to put in that time, read it.
I can definitely see at the same time where if you're on YouTube, because you have your video, and then you finish a video, and then boom, a whole world of content is just opened up to you, and at that point it's incredibly easy to just get distracted by it. So I guess if you were to read a book, on the contrary, if you get to a point where it's as soon as you turn the next page, the content, I guess it's kind of synonymous to YouTube recommendations, where every page of the book is but it's all the same content. So that way there's less distraction, I guess, and less likely, because YouTube, and we've spoken about social media before and how it's addictive, right? But YouTube will recommend things to you that you will inevitably watch, because it's
designed to do that.
It's designed to do that. So it's by using that platform, and even if you are just watching 10-minute videos, because I think I'm straying a bit away from what your point is, and I do see your point. If you're going to read up on something, don't watch YouTube. Actually read into it, and
it could be a great
open a book.
It could be a great starting point, but just going in the endless loop of watching could only give you so much progress.
100%.
It really depends on what aspect you're talking about. For example, if I want to learn something about Premiere Pro that I edit videos in, YouTube is probably a really good source. YouTube and blog posts. There's not really, I don't know, I never really read a book about video editing, because you need to see it with your eyes, because it's something. So it depends on what it is, but that thing of say that thing of reading more, watching less, that's just been really helpful for me over the last year. I've been watching much less YouTube, and I think it's been really beneficial. And when you go to that point of, okay, I'm gonna just take that step back and just do things more intentionally, that's when I really think things become interesting, because you're not doing something because you're not feeling guilty about it. You're not feeling I'm wasting time. It's I'm actually just, I want to watch YouTube right now, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna feel fine about it.
I think everyone has YouTube or even TikTok or anything like that. It's a guilty pleasure, right? You just get some bit of a boost from any old video, and I guess I'm sure you're not trying to say just completely wipe out YouTube, because I think every now and then I don't know, there's some funny people out there that you want to watch because it's funny, right?
Exactly.
Anything on YouTube, right? I think that definitely in literature as well, in books, not every author's perfect, and you get the same thing when I'm reading research articles for any research. People will be biased and think that their work is perfect when it's not. And more in literature do you see people a lot more acknowledging of the other side. It's two sides of the debate,
even with points we're talking about here, we change our mind in the future. Something that we say could not be, the research could be wrong. Maybe what I read was wrong, but we're all human, like you say. We make mistakes.
Exactly. I just think that if you're, I definitely agree. If you want to be more intentional and more have more of a depth of understanding of something, then definitely reading up on it is a lot better than just YouTubing it. But I guess it depends on the task as well. As you're saying, if you need to, I don't know, how do I find blur effects in Premiere Pro? Just YouTube it. You don't need to find a book for that.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. All right. Cool.
Interesting.
All right. So this is a final point each now.
It is. Is it up? Is it on me?
So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. This is quite an interesting one, and it's something that I've picked up having been a team leader this year, and I think just in general. So I'll give a bit of a backstory to this point. So I used to be. This is like, but I was back into like my sensitive days. I'm going to call it that from now. When I was a lot more like tedious, a lot more like introverted, a lot more just like reserved, basically. And you know, in school you'd have like presentations. We had like speeches you had to do, right? You know, I don't know if you did that in
no, they didn't.
No, really, okay. But they used to make us like write speeches on topics and present them to the class, and like I would like be sitting there like jolt, like I could not get my words out, so nervous, like absolutely petrified. And I think it comes with anything, like even with like tournaments, like I'd go to judo tournaments, even though I knew like, and my instructors knew and my friends knew that I'd be okay, like the nerves just overtook me, and it just ended up making me like do worse than I normally did because I was so nervous. And something that I've picked up is that just by, you can literally counteract like half of my, or for me anyway, it might be different from person to person, but just by like acting really confident, I was able to just like overcome a lot more and gradually ease into things. Like if I was making a speech, I would just like pretend that I was really confident and just like really like just build up like a bundle of like faith in what I was saying, and just knowing that I'm right, thinking like I'm the best person in the room for this topic or whatever. And that just really helped me like get over that fear of being nervous, and like, you know, because it's like that's like constant fear of just like I'm just embarrassing myself, like everyone's watching me, like oh my god. But if you go in there with that like confidence, just to be like, you know what, I am the most knowledgeable person about this topic in this room, you know, and then you just feel a lot better and you feel a lot more comfortable. It's like, because it's like so that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's really good, because like it's kind of like fake it till you make it,
I guess. Yeah, and to some extent, you know.
Yeah, because it's like you, by having that belief, it's like, oh, like I know what I'm talking about. Like I might have those nerves, but I can overcome them by just like being like, just like taking a breath, you know, like you said, like fake that confidence and it will kind of come. But I think confidence is like if you like just like you say, if you fake it, it's gonna kind of come there. Like
exactly.
Time, like over time it will become more natural.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, even when I'm doing speeches nowadays, and
you still get nerves, right?
I still jumble over words, and you can still hear the nervousness on my breath. Like, you know, some like you can kind of hear when someone's nervous, right? It slips out, and it's inevitable that it will. You know, it's like it's impossible to hide it completely, but it's just the fact that it lets you get through so much more. It's not like a permanent fix. It's not a cure. It's just like a treatment. It's like it just helps.
You know, something that's really interesting. This might be in one of my points, but I'll mention it now anyway. Is that if you've got something that you want to do and you're feeling nervous about it, so a trick that I found out is to just like go in my head, okay, 3, 2, 1, and then go and do it. Like if it's like speaking to someone new, like say you start in uni and like, oh, there's all these new people, and you're like, you're a bit nervous, just like in my head, 3, 2, 1, walk over and just start speaking like that. Oh,
no
hi,
consequences.
What's your name? Oh, what do you study? Like whatever. Just like don't let that overthinking part of our brain activate. Within those 3 seconds, it's not giving it enough time to let that happen. Like just tricking our brain into doing that thing which we might feel nervous about, but we know deep down we actually want to do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's definitely like a big thing. Is like you just overthink things like all the time, and I do it a lot as well. I'm guilty.
Like we all do. It's
just like you think that you just assume the worst in a situation. You know, it's like, I don't know, you really want to talk to this person about something, but it's like, oh, what if they think this or this about me? You know, and you just like go to the worst situation immediately. But it's kind of a risk reward thing at that point, right? Like it's like, I don't know. But yeah, interesting point.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so final point, which is my final point. So this kind of links to stuff that we talked about, and so let's talk. So my final point is try not to put work on such a pedestal and spend more time on relationships. And we kind of did touch on this, but so in sixth form, for example, in year 12, I was like, I put like a big, like this is when I put like quite a big emphasis on working, on like studying, and like studying and like a few other things that I was working on, like when I originally started my YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, I need to study all the time, like in free periods. Okay, I'm going to study. If I'm just going to go to like the library to study, and like And this obviously impacted my social life. And I realized this around year 13. I was like, okay, something's a bit off here. Like I want to make some changes. And so it was like, and that's when relationships started to become more positive and more fulfilling, and like the social life was started to be more active. And it was just small changes that started to have these compounding effects of me making this realization of like, okay, I don't really want to put work on such a massive priority. Like I know it's important to me, but I also want to prioritize my relationships as well. Like, I can have both. Like,
yeah, 100%. Like it definitely links to like what we were saying like at the beginning of this episode. It's like you know, it's like it doesn't matter how like long it takes you to get to that, like, you know, to whatever, you know, finishing your A levels, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's like just like enjoy the experience of it, and I guess you can't like underestimate like how important like friendships and, you know, even like building those relationships are, because, you know, you don't want to get like finishing your A levels and you're just there like celebrating with no one.
Yeah, exactly. Like in year 13, that's where I started. Oh, you know what? Like, there's the canteen. You know, oh, okay, I can do work there and spend time with people. And that's what I did. Very small change, and that's probably how we met or whatever. How like maybe exactly. I can't remember the specifics, but like that's how we became friends. And that's like, that just really shows how small changes can have compounding positive effects. And I think that's just like something I would have told myself at the start of year 12.
Yeah,
like yo, Alex, spend more time on relationships. Like, it's year 12. It's not even your final year. AS don't even count. Like, just remember that. Like, find that balance. And also, like, when I started uni, like the progress started to continue. But there was also a part of me who's like, okay, I need to study. Like, study is priority. Like, some of my friends would go, oh, you never came out. Like, you always study. And I'm like, I knew my balance was better than like was before. So like, and at the end of the day, like, it comes down to like putting yourself out there, like being willing to maybe like just try something new, being more spontaneous, like just being like, let's say you finish your class today, they'll be like, oh yo, like one of your mates, like, do you want to go like, you know, get lunch now, like just like putting yourself out there.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, let's exactly. Exactly. Like, and he's like, and maybe like you text him like, oh, like one of your friends will be like, yo, do you want to meet up for lunch at 1? He's like, oh no, I got class. And he goes, what about 2? Yeah, sure, see you soon. Like also, like, when it comes to someone, say someone you haven't messaged in a while, or someone you haven't spoken to, like one of your friends, and you might feel, oh, like, I know I felt this before, it's like, oh, there's such like a process, like I feel like, oh, I haven't spoken to this person, I don't know what to say. I'd be like, oh no, I need to catch up first before I can say anything. And it's like, oh no, you could just be like, oh yo, want to meet up? Like, that's it. Like, and then you can like just carry on like that relationship. You don't have to, there's no this big process. And this comes to a big point that I want to make, that I've learned, especially in the last year or so. And it's called that's what I like to call the be the leader principle.
Be the leader. And
this is the biggest. This is probably the biggest thing I've learned in my social life. And this is that I would always recommend that you try to be the leader or the initiator of a social meetup or an event or something you're doing with your friends. Like, don't always wait for someone else to invite you to do something. Just be like, be like, oh, let's do this. Like, you invite the people, you make that happen. Yeah. That's how things happen. Like, I heard this quote, and it's like, I was like, oh, this is a nice quote. It's like, the world is full of lonely people waiting for the other person to make the first move. And
damn, that's deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really interesting, because I guess like in that sense as well, if you were to take on like I'm going to make these plans, is that it kind of completely removes the like the scheduling issues that you probably come across when you're making plans with friends, right? Because you know, if you do, as you were saying, like you put such an emphasis on the work, right, and you have a strict schedule that you want to stick to, by making them planning these events and saying this is when I want to do something, and then everyone else like just comes to your event and they adapt their schedule to yours, you know, in that sense.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like, obviously if it's like you're saying like you're just meeting up with a few people like to do something, you just be like, oh yo, let's do this, and then you just like figure out, oh, when is the best time for all of us, and then like it just happens. Like once you organise events, then more people will organise events.
Yeah, and then that's how you make friends, right?
That's how you make friends, exactly. It's
exactly.
You invite someone to do something, and then they were more likely to invite you to it, and that's probably how like a lot of relationships, like friendships I've had has developed. It's just like, I like to call it be the leader. So I was talking to my sister about this the other day. She was like, I was actually asking her yesterday, what is one thing that a life lesson or advice that I have said that has really resonated with you, and like something that you found useful? And she said this one. Like, I've talked about like the be the leader principle. I don't know if I made it up or if I heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
But this is something that I will come back to again and again with relationships. I think it's like one of the most important things, and like even if like a part of you, like I think if you're overthinking something, like what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, they just can't make it and they say no.
I guess
that's the worst that can happen. Like there's no, nothing bad is really going to happen. Like
I think it kind of comes back to that point you're making earlier, where like what was it like seek forgiveness and not permission, exactly. So like, you know, you can ask them, you know, do you want to go out, and they might say no, but I mean, like, even if you get to the point like in the future, like you can make the plans, even though you know you might be busy, you're not sure, make it, and if you can't make it, then you just say sorry.
Yeah,
but it's better than not making the plans initially.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You know, something's really interesting, I remember reading this, is like planning to do something and not setting a time, and just be like, oh, okay, let's meet up on, I don't know, Friday after work, right? Just say, oh, Friday after work, and then it's like Friday after work, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, we're meeting up, just like not saying a time, not saying a place, just saying let's meet up Friday after work. Like obviously you need to be like somewhat near each other anyway, like but like, you know what I mean, it's like having all those more of those spontaneous, said it right this time, more spontaneous things.
I like the word spontaneous better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think another point that you mentioned earlier is like, you know, having that balance between work and that social life. And I think it's like, it's still one of those things that even people like many like years above us still struggle with, because I've heard like stories of people that, you know, they end up getting so like caught up in their work that they just completely end up neglecting their families, you know. I think I mentioned this before, but I remember reading something on LinkedIn and a guy was saying, like, really important guy in like this really wealthy company, right? Like well off, basically was saying that his daughter had drawn like a picture of his family and he wasn't in it.
I know you talked about this.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, it's like just takes that one thing for you to realize, you know, it's like, and at that point, like you're so like invested in the company and work, you know, it's just, you know, don't get to that position basically is what I'm trying to say. Like, definitely make time for those relationships, because I know work's important, but yeah, as you say, like just take it down a bit on the importance, slightly, just so that you can fit in and enjoy your life.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Okay, thanks a lot everybody for listening to 21 life lessons for our past selves part 1.
Yes, so, I think this has gone on, wow, a very long time,
over an hour.
Yeah, I guess part 2, I'm excited for it, honestly. I'm excited to see what your other 5 points are.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks a lot for listening everybody. Please like, subscribe if you're listening on like Apple Podcasts, rate, review, share it with your friends, all that stuff.
Yeah, we've said it many times.
Algorithm friendly stuff. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm sure you can send us an email. We'll put that in the show notes. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, we definitely want to engage with anyone watching this, because you know it's like we can't really get this has obviously been quite an in-depth episode, but you know, it'd be nice to maybe like some like sort of like live session. I think we mentioned before on Instagram.
I think it'd be interesting to do like an AMA, like Ask Me Anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, we can put like some put the sticker on Instagram or whatever and see if we get some questions and answer some. So that could be interesting. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening, everyone. Do we have anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Like,
review, subscribe, rate, review, subscribe, and show a friend, because I think that these kind of messages need to get out to more people.
Like, if you like, for whoever's listening, like if you found one point, even if you found one point that's been helpful, like that's like I'm happy. I'm like
exactly. Like it's the reason that we do this.
It's like if you can just help one person, if it's only helps one person, like
exactly.
That's like that's absolutely amazing.
100%. That's why we do this.
And it's like we're doing this saying for our past selves, and then hopefully that can help people that are listening.
Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for watching
and listening, and we will see you in the next one, in part 2 for this one.
Part 2. Awesome.
Okay.